I'm Stu Mills in Ottawa. Season to taste is a phrase you'll find at the end of many recipes, and it means there are no hard and fast rules about how much salt you will add. You just keep adding salt until you're happy with the results. And that's basically how Canada handles the application of road salt in the winter. We season the roads, the sidewalks, the pathways leading to transit stations, any service where we feel traction might be less than perfect. But earlier this month, the local environmental watchdog Ecology Ottawa began to ask if Ottawa's taste for salt was out of line with its other environmental values. We put tons of it on the roads, and after that, it starts to flow.
Now the salt will just go into waterways, and we know from studies conducted by Ottawa Riverkeeper that our waterways are quite toxified with salt, and that's damage that will last years. So, we really need to get on top of this.
How much salt do we use? We're in first place. Ottawa uses more rock salt compounds than any other municipality in the country. I met up with Ecology Ottawa's William Van Geest to talk about this salt campaign they've been on. They asked residents to share pictures of over-salting, especially by OC Transpo, around bus and transit stations.
It doesn't take a scientist to tell that the amounts of salt that OC Transpo is applying are just egregious.
For Ecology Ottawa, it isn't just that it speeds up the decay of our roads and cars. They're worried about the groundwater. Now, Ecology Ottawa is, in a sense, leaning on this ambitious 5-year-long study by the Ottawa Riverkeeper. Over those 5 years, the Riverkeeper took 500 water samples at 45 rivers and creeks like this one. This is Pinecrest Creek. And they found some to be either acutely toxic or chronically toxic. To understand what that means, I visited environmental geoscientist Tim Patterson at his Carleton lab. He told me he'd been thinking about salt himself after riding his bike through this area, south of the university. The salt washes into our waterways and builds up over years, with the levels in some lakes near highways getting higher and higher.
Some of these lakes are brackish. So they're literally as if they were sitting in salt marshes along the seacoast, and that has had an enormous detrimental effect upon organisms that are living in these water bodies. So it's a huge, huge problem.
Even if we stopped applying road salt today, it would take 50 years for some of our toxic waterways to run clean again. Of course, our salt habit is about making roads and sidewalks safe, but it's also about budgets. At just $65 a ton, road salt is dirt cheap, and that makes it a hard habit to break.
Ensuring that there's a balance between public safety and also addressing environmental concerns. I think
this week, Councillor Rawlson King called for a review of Ottawa's road salt use, mainly to find out if the amount used is consistent with Ottawa's other environmental goals. It passed unanimously. Calls to halt the salt have come and gone before, but maybe this time, with a push from the Riverkeeper, Ecology Ottawa, and regular people looking at salt in a new light, things will change. Stu Mills, CBC News, Ottawa.